we ended the Bhagavad Gita third chapter, third series, last class. Friends, the gist is controlling your senses and non-attachment to things. Even though you are doing intense action, you should not be attached to the result. That is the essence of the third workshop. Now, let us start formally the workshop. Fourth series, new workshop today. Om Nityanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisam Tattvamasya Adilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Triguna-rahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Okay, before we start the Gita, let us salute to Bhagavan Sri Krishna, who is the greatest incarnation and who delivered this ultimate scripture called Bhagavad Gita. This is a conversation between master and disciple, and master is initiating this disciple into integrity, authenticity, responsibility, and enriching. Now, Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanura Mardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. I salute unto you, Bhagavan Sri Krishna, Guru, Master of the world, Son of Vasudeva, Supreme bliss of Devaki, destroyer of Kamsa and Chanura. I bow down to you. Well, every Bhagavad Gita workshop is connected. It's a sequel of the previous one. Today, we are starting with Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga, the path of knowledge. Let the knowledge, the multi-dimensional logic, the essence of Paramashivatva get transmitted into your body, mind, and being. The path of knowledge. That is what Bhagavan is delivering. Please understand, logic can never lead you to self-realization. The ultimate truth is beyond logic. Logic can never lead you to self-realization. The ultimate truth is beyond logic. The qualification to receive the truth is devotion. The ultimate truth for you to receive, the qualification you need to have is devotion. Sri Krishna begins revealing the mysterious supreme science of enlightenment to his devotee and friend and relative Arjuna. Bhagavan Sri Krishna is revealing the mysterious supreme science of enlightenment. His relative Arjuna, devotee, and he is a very close friend, intimate friend. Please understand, the human psyche longs for continuance. Means continuation and perpetuation of one's identity is of utmost importance to every human being. They always think generations and generations we have to continue the legacy, right? We trace our lineage back as far as we can go in memory and records. We always keep looking for something which is worthy of noting. We are anxious to provide everything for the weak persons in the family. This is a general anxiety on the account of our own lineage. Please understand, this is a general anxiety on the account of our own lineage. See, we have a general anxiety on our lineage. Arjuna is driven by the same dilemma. Understand? To defend the fears he has about his own identity, he is referring to all the historical moral codes, how one's ancestors and descendants are affected by one's deeds in this life. He is referring to all that. Why? He's carrying some fears about his own identity to defend those fears. It is a simple transference of his present uncertainty to the past and future. See, in the present moment, he has some uncertainty about this Kurukshetra war, which he doesn't want to fight, right? The uncertainty which he's carrying now in the present moment is simply transferring it to the past and future. As far as any incarnation or enlightened master can see, they are only seeing that universe is always existing, has existed. As far into the future as they can see, this universe will continue to exist. There is no beginning and no end. It has been there forever and will be there forever. The form and identity that we are familiar with is perishable. Right? All the forms and identities we are familiar with are perishable. It is a matter of subject to creation, destruction and recreation. But the universe is formless energy. Whatever forms and identities we are familiar with, it is a matter subject to creation, destruction and recreation. But the actual universe is formless energy. As it sees fit, it transforms into matter and again back into energy. That energy is imperishable. It will always exist. This is what Sri Krishna explains earlier to Arjuna. Understand this. This energy which is imperishable, this energy of the universe is the same energy that is within us, imperishable. See, the very first verse of the first Hindu scripture, Ishavasya Upanishad, says that out of energy arises all matter. Ishavasyam idam sarvam. Understand that the constant factor in us as well as in the universe is this energy that is eternal, it is imperishable. Once we understand that there is no separation between the universe and us, all our confusion will be at rest. There will no longer be any fear of death, and there will no longer be the greed to acquire and hold and possess. After all, the energy that is who we are is forever. Once we understand, cognize and accept this, we are in eternal bliss Nityanandam. Now, let us go into what Bhagavan Sri Krishna is saying. The verses. Bhagavan is opening with the first verse. First, let me read out the verse. Understand, even before listening to any verse, just imagine the Bhagavan, the state and space of Bhagavan. Visualize Bhagavan Sri Krishna, and when you hear the verse, it will be very sweet. Now let us go into what Bhagavan is saying. I taught the sun god, Vivishwan, the imperishable science of yoga, and he taught Manu, the father of mankind, And Manu taught in turn to Ikshvaku. The supreme science was thus received through the chain of master and disciple succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. In the course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science appears to have been lost. It hasn't been lost, appears. Bhagavan is using that word. You need to understand that Krishna is just 32 years old when he makes this statement. When he made this verse in Gita, he was just 32 years old. Physically, his body is only 32 years old, but he says, I gave this imperishable knowledge to Surya, the sun god. Guys, understand? Surya is always existing before Krishna was born, isn't it? But Bhagavan is uttering this word. I gave this knowledge. Physically, his body is only 32 years old. But he says, I gave this imperishable knowledge to Surya. Of course, this is very difficult to understand with normal logic. You cannot understand this statement with ordinary logic, with binary logic, which we use in our daily life. We cannot make any meaning out of this statement. In the next statement, Bhagavan says, the supreme science, this yoga, as it was, appears to have been lost in course of time. These two verses should be understood clearly. The first thing is that the truth is not new, right? It is eternal, neither new nor old. Eternal means it is there forever, but it never becomes old. There's no expiry date. It was never new. Eternal means that which is beyond time and space. When you are in completion, anything you create stands for eternity. It is immortal and eternal. Otherwise, there is no reason why Hinduism should be still alive. The invaders and fanatics brutally attacked and assaulted anything in front of their eyes, killing millions of people and destroying temples of Bharat, India. They invaded and ruled India, not for one generation, but for hundreds of years. Yet, how is it that Hinduism is still left alive, flourishing and expanding? Because it was created out of the eternal space of completion. Eternal space of completion. See, for a religion or any civilization to be alive, three things are important. First, the knowledge and the science of lifestyle, Upanishad. What is birth? What is death? Why life? What is the purpose of life? The answer to all questions of living and leaving. Living, leaving, exiting. Second, the buildings, architecture and arts. And the third thing, the language. All these three are made out of the magnetic field of completion in Sanatana Hindu Dharma. That is why these three things can never be destroyed, no matter how much anyone tries. See, for a religion or any civilization to be alive, three things are important. I already told you. Knowledge and the science of lifestyle, Upanishad. What is birth? What is death? Why life? What is the purpose of life? All these questions. Buildings, architecture, arts, language. The architectural wonders and monuments created out of completion, and the linguistic monument and wonder, Sanskrit, born out of completion, these can never be destroyed. Just like the wonders of the world. If you analyze the linguistic wonders of the world, Sanskrit, the Deva Bhasha, language of divine, will be the first and only linguistic wonder of the world. Understand, the word Sanskrit means well done, refined, perfect. The Vedic tradition is such a powerful, refined system that no matter how much anyone tries to manipulate, morph, or misrepresent it, it gets backfired. This system is so foolproof, so evolved to perfection. That is why we say Sanskritam means refined. And the great science of lifestyle is the Upanishad. Upanishad also means sitting with the master. All three are created out of the magnetic field of completion. That is why nothing could destroy or kill it. Please understand, this yoga is imperishable, as Krishna declares. Avyayam. Anything created out of the space of completion stands forever, stands eternally. Completion is eternal, nitya. Understand, guys? When are you going to have completion? When you don't have self-doubt, self-hatred, self-denial. When you are authentic in your actions, you will never be having self-doubt. When you don't have self-doubt, you can never have incompletion on others or on situations or on anything. Only the things described and created based on time can be said to be new or old. Anything new will become old one day. Anything old was new at one time. Anything new will become old one day. Anything old now was new at one time. Eternal means it is beyond the new and the old. That imperishable energy in the universe, whatever is there inside us. It has been there from time immemorial. Here, this yoga, the science of enlightenment, is eternal or nitya. Last time, the workshop, the yoga, the beauty of purposelessness we were talking about. We learned in that chapter, the karma. The same yoga is going to be explained further in this workshop, path of knowledge. Swamiji already gave the first glimpse of this in the previous workshop. The first thing that needs to be understood is the first glimpse. Today is introduction class for the 4th series. The first thing that needs to be understood is the first glimpse. If you allow those words to penetrate you, then straight away those words can give you the first glimpse of enlightenment. If we performed any action authentically to the peak possibility, we would have had the first glimpse of enlightenment. They can lead you to the first step of ultimate liberation. Understanding the purposelessness of life will wash away all its incompletions, stress, pressures, burdens from your being, whether they are physical or mental or emotional. You are liberated in that same moment. You are in the space of completion that very moment. Krishna doesn't give you any technique that works over lengthy periods of time. Some techniques work over long periods of time, which you will have to practice forever. Krishna says, now, here or nowhere. He's saying, now, Arjuna, here or nowhere. Either have the result now and here or nowhere, he's saying. All his techniques straight away give you the experience. Please understand. What did Krishna say? What did Swamiji say? He said, the qualification to receive this knowledge is what? Devotion. And Bhagavan, Krishna, the way he spent his childhood, the teenage, the real devotion he taught, isn't it? Instant devotion he gave. He gave instant devotion. Krishna is not someone, hey, practice this for 30 years, 40 years. No. He just like that gave devotion to Gopikas. And in Bhagavad Gita, he just like that gave jnana to Arjuna. Straight away he gives you the technique and experience. The beauty of purposelessness he gives into your inner space. The idea of purposelessness in the first place. That very moment, the breeze of enlightenment enters your heart. That very moment, the healing of your being starts. The healing of bhava roga, emotional disease, and healing of samsara roga, the disease of birth and death. They will start now. 5,000 years ago, Krishna said, I gave this science to Surya, the sun god. And the sun god instructed Manu. The sun god is Vivaswan, instructed Manu, the father of mankind. Manu is what? Father of mankind. Manu passed this wisdom on to Ikshvaku. Here, Bhagavan, Sri Krishna, gives the succession, the lineage through disciples, the master-disciple lineage. In course of time, the science of yoga was lost. He says, Sa kaleneha mahatyago nashtaha parantapa. He says, means, understand, in course of time, the science of yoga was lost, he says. Understand why this yoga of completion was lost. When a disciple is not in the space of completion, if he is not completely ready to listen, naturally, the technique becomes a ritual. Understand, there is only one difference between technique and ritual. When it is done with integrity and authenticity, even an ordinary ritual becomes a great meditation technique that leads you to enlightenment. When it is done without any integrity as a routine, then even a meditation technique becomes a ritual. In course of time, the science was lost. Krishna uses a beautiful phrase. The supreme science was taught by me. And the supreme science was received through lineage. You don't lose that supreme science in just one generation. In course of time, even a single unenlightened disciple is enough to destroy the whole science. In course of time, the science was lost. The problem is, your master creates a big movement and you succeed him without the necessary qualifications. That's the problem. You become a successor, but without the necessary qualifications. People who simply ascend the throne only because they are the successor are the most dangerous people. They have everything except enlightenment. One who creates a spiritual movement creates it only out of the energy of enriching with enlightenment, from his love and compassion. For the person who succeeds the founder, the whole movement is a gift. When you get somebody's throne as a successor, without the energy of responsibility, you will be filled with ego. You will create damage. You carry just the book and not the knowledge. Responsibility is the energy in which your life flowers and blooms. First, learn to think with these four tattvas as reality. That is why our Vedic masters always transmitted and mirrored the truths through the oral tradition of disciple succession from the enlightened master to the disciple. The disciple sits in Upanishad at the feet of the master. Please understand, Upanishad means sitting with the master. Upanishad is nothing but a master who gets into a space and lets the disciples sit around and mirror his neuron activity in their brains. Upanishad is the best way to transmit the experiential expression of the great tattvas. This is how Bhagavan Krishna transmits the science of Bhagavad Gita to the sun god. And now to Arjuna. How Bhagavan transmitted? He gets into a space and lets the disciples sit around and mirror his neuron activity. He transmits the experiential expression of the great tattvas. This is how Bhagavan transmits the science of Bhagavad Gita to the sun god and now to Arjuna. And Arjuna's questions are the whole humanity's questions. Please understand, Arjuna is only a tool. He's answering us. He's transmitting this great knowledge to us.